Welcome. Once upon a time, there was a god named Uranus, who had a son named Cronus. One day Cronus rebelled against his father, and he castrated him. Then he threw his genitals into the ocean. When his testes hit the water, something strange happened. Foam started bubbling to the surface. And then, as foam came up, a beautiful woman appeared. She was Venus, the goddess of love and beauty. Today we will analyze the birth of Venus by Sandro Botticelli, one of the most stunning masterpieces of the Italian Renaissance. In this painting, rather than a birth, we see Venus, the Roman goddess of love and beauty, landing on the shore of her homeland, which is the island of Cyprus. According to the legend, she was born as a full-grown woman out of the sea foam. After her birth, Venus came ashore on a shell, pushed along by the breath of Zephyrus, the god of the wind. Zephyrus is embracing the nymph Chloris, and they are both blowing towards Venus. On the right there is a figure who is about to cover Venus with a flowery mantle. She is probably the Hora of spring. This painting is often compared to another mythological painting by Botticelli, called the Primavera. They were both commissioned by the Medici family, but the idea that they were made for the same occasion has been discredited. Most art historians agree that the birth of Venus does not require complex analysis to decode its meaning, in the way that the Primavera probably does. The main meaning of the birth of Venus is a straightforward treatment of a traditional scene from Greek mythology, and its appeal is sensory and very accessible, which is why this painting became so popular. The painting consists of two pieces of canvas sewn together. Canvas was increasing in popularity, especially for secular paintings for country villas. Botticelli used a technique of fin tempera, based on the use of diluted egg yolk. This technique gives the painting that aspect of extraordinary transparency, which makes the work look like a fresco. For Venus' modest pose, Botticelli takes his inspiration from classical statues. She is standing in the contrapposto pose, as she covers her nakedness with her long hair and hands. However, her weight is shifted too far over the left leg for the pose to be held. She is not exactly standing. She is almost floating in the air. Also, the proportions do not quite make sense, and her body is anatomically improbable. Look at her shoulders for example. Instead of supporting her torso, they run down into her arms in what seems a rather unnatural position. Also, her neck is fairly elongated, as well as her left arm, which she uses to cover her genitalia. Botticelli might have been inspired by the classical statues, but the overall treatment of Venus' figure is largely influenced by Gothic art. She is standing off-center with a curved body of long flowing lines, just like many Gothic sculptures. However this masterpiece presents an imaginary scene, a myth, rather than a scene from real life, so any disruption is justified. Furthermore, Botticelli never fully practiced any form of naturalism or perspective. He rarely gave weight and volume to his figures, and he never painted landscape backgrounds with great detail or realism. Many historians agree that the meaning of this painting can be found in the Neoplatonic interpretations, which claim that Botticelli wanted to represent the Neoplatonic idea of divine love in the form of a nude Venus. She is a symbol of beauty, both physical and spiritual. Plato thought that contemplation of physical beauty allowed the mind to better understand spiritual beauty. So, contemplating Venus' beauty is a way to elevate the human spirit and get closer to the divine. This extraordinary painting became a referential point for the upcoming generation of artists. As the centuries passed by, its glory became greater, especially with the development of popular culture in the 20th century, which embraced it as one of the greatest masterpieces ever made. So, what do you think about this painting? Does your spirit feel elevated to the divine? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel.